Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of the Stray Pixels podcast, sponsored by no one. Please give us your money. My name is Colin, and I am your host. I've been a writer with Noisy Pixel for just under a year now, and I have been covering a lot of Final Fantasy XIV stuff and indie games lately. Nate.
Hey, I am Nathan Mejia. I'm also a content creator here over at Noisy Pixel, content writer, rather. I mostly review horror games and whatever everybody else won't take.
If it doesn't go to
Yeah. If it doesn't go to Bailey here coming up,
Heyo. Yeah, so I'm Bailey. Hey, on the site and on Twitter I go by Orpheus Joshua, but I don't really care who what I'm called by. I am the editor-in-chief for the website. And I also do a lot of news pieces and reviews as well.
All right. So, being that this is the first time that you guys have seen any of our faces, we decided that the best way to introduce ourselves without having a script, because that's how you're used to hearing us, is to just go ahead and talk about what our favorite games are. And we're going to get into like a separate topic later. This is more of just a get to know us segment. So Nate, do you want to start us off?
yeah, man, I'll start us off. Probably because it's back in the limelight now, especially with the new game coming up. For the longest time, my favorite game was Mass Effect 1.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. Uh, Kind of funny. I didn't get into it till almost Mass Effect 2 came out, because I was able to beat Mass Effect 1 twice before Mass Effect 2 came out. And that was a whole crap show. I have a bad habit with save files. Persona 3, I had to restart 4 to 5 times because of save files.
Ooh.
What did you do?
Well, okay. So first time I was playing Portable. I
Okay.
then found out Fest came out on PS3. It was like, okay, I'm switching over to Fest now. Fest on PS3 has that very cool bug where sometimes you save and instead of saving it just deletes your save file.
Yeah, it does have that.
4 times I got to 13 death, and 4 times my save file died.
You're a fucking Persona 3 X. You're a Persona 3 expert, man.
Yeah, man.
Get to death 4 times?
Yeah, dude. 4 times I got to death. And then I almost beat like under leveled the final boss at like level 50 or 60 or something like that.
God damn.
I would have beat it too if I didn't hit the stupid shield.
Mass Effect 1. I have tried and failed to get into Mass Effect so many times, but it is one of those games where like its reputation precedes it because people that are really into Mass Effect are really fucking into Mass Effect. Like I know multiple people that have N7 tattoos on their body forever.
Yeah.
They're like the ride or dies.
Yeah, I would probably be among them. Famously, I've beaten Mass Effect 1 about 18 to 19 times.
Oh
Jeez.
shit. Nathan?
Holy hell.
That's Mass Effect 1. And that was because I was crazy and I had a lot of time. And that if you get free points into your specialization of your social skills. So Paragon, it's Charm, Renegade, it's Intimidate.
Mm-hmm.
So every time you hit 25% of max of 1 meter, you get a point, and then 1 point each when you hit Spectre. So that's 4 free points. If you play the game 4 times the same character, you keep getting those points back. So you essentially get about 16 free points that you can then put into somewhere else. That means your first 2 things are really scuffed because you can't negotiate for anything. It's okay, you're gonna die then.
It's like playing Persona when you have like all base level stats and like you smell and your friends hate you.
Yeah, it's like the difference between choice 1 Yu Narukami and choice 3 Yu Narukami. So like you're like, yeah, okay, yeah. So all of a sudden like, I'm gonna go fuck up Neo Featherman. And it was like, what? Yeah, see ya. I'm just gonna go fish for like 3 hours.
That's Persona, man.
It's Persona, man. Oh my gosh.
I like like the idea of Mass. It's hard for me to say I like Mass Effect because again, I've not made it through the whole first game, but it's one of those things that like I keep going back to and trying because everything about it screams that it's something that I would really love. I like the character designs. I love the like widespread adoption of femshep. Just like everybody just deciding that femshep is the definitive
Really?
like experience. That was really cool.
I didn't know that.
And I like Jennifer Hale. So
Jennifer Hale is great.
I bought my boyfriend the Legendary Collection for
Ooh.
Christmas. He hasn't cracked it open yet, but I happened to find like a ridiculously sweet deal on it. And he keeps asking me over and over and over again, hey, I know you have the Mass Effect games. Where do you have them? And the problem is that I have them on the PS3. So they're in like the least convenient place they could possibly be.
Especially that PS3 port of 1 is real monka.
So
that's how I played one.
So at that point I was just like, let's just get the shiny new one.
Yeah, the shiny new one, it is pretty good. I think I reviewed it. I know I reviewed it.
You did. We made sure of that.
Are you sure?
We did. Yes, our boss made sure of it, and he said I could never leave him anymore. So
Mass Effect Legendary Collection was in our little spreadsheet calendar, and I think everybody just wrote Nate.
Nathan,
gets
we all
game.
wrote Nate.
Yeah.
Nate was in there 4 times.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, and I was like, oh, cool, it's mine. And then
I think that's when you first joined us too. So
that was
like a big
that
deal.
was really quickly after we got there.
Yeah, because my first piece was on a porn game.
Yo.
And I was at that point, I did not know much about Noisy Pixel, and I was like, and it wasn't even like boobs; it was like in my face.
You were Swimmer Admiration, right? Was that you?
Which one was
that?
Which one?
Yeah, Swimmer Admiration.
I thought so. Though.
Okay.
To this day, Azario will still trash that game.
Yeah, it was not a good game, and I mean, your first thing of like it's porn, because until then you don't know it's porn, and then all of a sudden there's no boobs in your face, but sure as hell there's cock in your face.
Yo.
And I'm like, how do I talk about this? Does Azario know this is what this type of game is?
Demonetized.
Like, can I put this on?
Honestly, I'm amazed you fucking stayed with us after that.
Horrible first impression. I mean, in fairness, my first game was also pretty terrible.
Which was your game?
Gravity Heroes.
Oh, that
Gravity Heroes was my first game because it looked dope and then it wasn't fun.
Yeah.
Like all the trailers looked like such cool shit and then it wasn't fun.
Yeah. No, that's what I've learned about reviewing here is that you're like, oh man, this game looks sick. This game looks sick. And then like 90% of your time, you're like, man, this game.
We all get hyped because we watch the trailer and then we get handed the code and then it's like, oh, well, this just dropped several points from where I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a hard job, man. It's tough job. No one understands.
Yeah, and I don't give people like, oh yeah, you just write out, you're fine. It's like, dude, no, there are times where I'm like a day going like, what do I write about this game? There is nothing to say about this game. It's mediocre.
I believe in you. You can get 700 to 800 words out of this. I believe in
At some point, we gotta talk about you and Outbreak.
Oh,
that's like my favorite Noisy Pixel memory. We gotta talk about Outbreak.
The 1 out of 10.
Outbreak is amazing, man.
We will absolutely have to do that at some point. We don't like. I want to get into that at some point because that is a trip.
Yeah, the Outbreak can be great. That game was ooh.
Okay. Bailey, would you like to talk to us about what you're going to tell us is your favorite game?
Okay, so I'm gonna say Final Fantasy X. It's not actually my favorite, but it's really high up there.
It's the one that you can talk about without having to spoil the preceding 6 games. 7 games. I can count.
Hey, man. We all know Cloud shows up in Final Fantasy X and then saves the day.
There are like theories of like 10 and 7 being connected. I don't know what's
I
happening there.
don't, people going way too freaking hard for this. I don't like, this isn't what the developers wanted. Not that that necessarily like has to play a factor in it, but it's just like, it's like when you see people like theorizing that like Tarzan is Elsa and Anna's secret lost brother,
Yo, can you imagine
that bullshit. And it's like, guys, we're
No.
thinking too hard about this.
Yeah, no, that's too hard. Like maybe Elsa and Anna's parents died going to go see Rapunzel's wedding. I can maybe accept that.
I like that makes more sense, but then in the sequel we see there's skeletons, so they didn't make it very far.
Oh, I never watched the sequel.
It was bad. Don't bother.
That was what I got from it.
So
spicy takes episode 1.
The thing that everybody remembers about Final Fantasy X is the voice acting, but
honestly, I don't think it's that bad.
It's not that bad. It was a first attempt because they never really tried to do this level of like full voice acting.
It's like 2002 or something. Like
2001,
it's like really,
I want to say.
It's like really fucking early.
It's
and it's like
very early
good.
in the PS2.
Yeah, cause it's 1 or 2 because Kingdom Hearts came out in 2002, I believe.
Yes,
and I think it's just before Kingdom Hearts.
The thing that I always remember, or that like I get sense memories of for 10 is the music.
The music's really fucking good.
The music in 10 has like such a distinctive feel to it because they picked a specific inspiration for the game, that being, you know, the whole like tropical islands thing, and we want to use those instruments all over the place, and we want to like make all this like very spiritual sounding music. And every so often I'll hear a track in another game or in Final Fantasy 14 or something. I'll be like, this sounds like Final Fantasy 10. And sometimes I look into it and it's the same composer, but sometimes it's not. Yeah. It just like has that much of an impression on you because I can remember so much of it.
Yeah. Final Fantasy X's music is really, really good. I still, even going back to this day, I go back and listen to Suteki Dame. And even the English translations.
Yeah, that's a really great sequence. I don't like 10 is like the last Final Fantasy I like really like that I like really loved. It just like I just love the story. I love the cast a lot. And like kind of after that point is where I kind of started to like teeter off the franchise a bit. But like 10 is where I like really thought it was like peak.
Sure.
I get that.
I've you know, to some extent loved all of them. I'm excited for a 13 to hopefully finally get a re-release, and I think that history is going to look a lot more kindly on it now
13
than
is
at the time.
13 is like a really impressive game. Like it's still I still have no idea how it looks so good.
It's gorgeous.
It's insane how good that game looks.
That is a PS3 360 game that looks like a PS4 game.
It looks insane. Yeah.
No joke.
Yeah, it looks insane. And a funny story is 13 was the first game I ever played in HD.
It's a good first game for HD.
Yeah, like
I think it might have been mine too. I think I bought 13 when I bought my used PS3.
Oh, okay.
I think I bought Final Fantasy 13, BioShock, and Fallout 3. And I believe I played Final Fantasy first. And then my dad stole my PS3 and played it too. Joke's on him. He never finished 13 too.
Man, I was all into 13.2 up until the midway point where it kind of stops making a lot of sense.
Man, 13.2, that frame rate though is like
that is so why I desperately need these games to get a remaster, is because the PS3 and the 360 just could not
like
really
OG
run
13?
them well.
Yeah,
and
like,
it gets even worse in Lightning Returns, where like you get like 20 FPS the whole time.
Lightning Returns is really bad.
And it's a shame because it's so gorgeous.
Yeah.
And it's really impressive that they made it in such a short amount of time. And it kind of strikes me because like Final Fantasy has pretty much maintained its standard for being like a like top of the line graphical showcase. Because like on the PS1, like 7 was a prototype, but 8, because they made Parasite Eve off of the 8 engine first and they got the practice in with it, 8 looks amazing and 9 looks incredible on the PS1.
9 really looks like an early PS2 game.
Yeah,
like it looks really good.
And I think that when they shifted up to the PS2 for Final Fantasy X, like I remember looking at it and seeing like the realistically proportioned characters for the first time, and my 8-year-old brain was melted. It's like, whoa, it can look like this.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, 9 for me was it where I was like, oh man, like this is it. Games can never get any better looking than this because I'm like 10, 11.
I always like whenever I hear people talk about FF7, like when they first played it when it came out,
yeah.
like they always say, man, games would like we did not think games would look better than that, and I'm like, really? Like I don't know about that. Like I don't know. Like I didn't live in the time, but like I don't know if they if
It's hard
they
to
would-
look back now on 7, and like that's why if you look at like a lot of the people that play the Steam version of it now play it with like
the
updated
mods.
models and an
Yeah.
HD mods, and it does look on the level of like a PS2 game at that point if you go that far, but it is kind of hard to swallow nowadays if you're just looking at like the original PS1 game, let alone the PC version without mods where it's literally MIDI music and it's the worst version of every
I think
individual.
that kind of just shows how far we've come, I guess. But it's just kind of wild to me to even think that,
Yeah.
What surprises me about 10 is how insistent they are on porting it to everything. You can play it on all 3 modern platforms.
Square loves 10 for like I don't know why, but they really love 10.
And they bundled it with 10 too. Like even better. I personally really enjoy 10 too.
Yo, 10-2 is so good. 10-2 is so good.
I unironically love it.
10-2 has my favorite.
Nate, what are you? Nate, give us your hot take. Drop your hot take.
Oh, here we go.
It's not going to be hot because Bailey and I are the ones with the hot takes.
Yeah,
on
no,
this,
it's not
on this,
hot
but
because I played some 10-2. I'll admit I haven't played all of it.
Oh,
It's kind of rough, man. Like 10-2 is a little rough. I don't think it's as bad as people say though. I will give it that. I think I need to give it a chance. I might love it, but all I remember is what can I do for you?
I love
it's a good
Real
song,
Emotion.
man.
I actually love the entire
great
opening
song.
sequence. The thing about 10-2 is, aside from maybe 8, it is the most anime Final Fantasy game that I can think of. Like
anime.
you have to be able to just go with it, just suspend your disbelief and go along with it. And 10-2's combat system is fucking incredible.
I love the combat so much. Like Final Fantasy fucking peaked with fucking dress for your combat.
Like it's kind of no wonder that that they never went back to turn-based after that and 12. It's like they've done it as best as they can. That's why 13 was so different, and now we're getting action RPGs from here on. They can't do it any better because 10-2 just like refined it so perfect, which is kind of interesting because when the original 10 came out, that was also really super lauded for its combat system.
I remember 10's combat system being fantastic. And I played it like late in my life because I played the 10-2 HD remasters, 10-2 HD remasters, which going straight from 10 then to 10-2, that is jarring. I think that what threw me off more was I didn't read the in-between story like I'm sure most other people had at that point.
Oh, the in-between story.
Yeah. Well, at least it would make sense. It's like, why is she singing to a crowd?
Yeah.
What is going on?
It's a really, like, even when it came out, it was very
Keep
jarring.
talking.
Okay.
Even when it came out, 10-2 was very, very jarring. Like I vaguely like recall. Like I didn't play it when it came out, but like I recall like seeing like ads for it and people would be like, what the hell is happening?
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, was this one of the most jarring things in my life? And I was like, how do we go from Blitzball to this?
I learned about 10-2, so like I was like really young. So I was like, I think like 6 or 7 when 10-2 was out, I think. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really use the like internet back then. So like I found out about 10-2 when I played Kingdom Hearts 2.
Oh, because YRP.
Riku Pain, and I'm like, why are they like that? And then I read the journal. I was like, wait, what? 10-2? There's a 10-2?
X2.
X dash 2. You gotta pronounce the dash.
I just had a thought that had never occurred to me before about the combat
Yeah.
system in 10. So if you've ever played like a lot of low budget like Chemco RPGs afterwards, a lot of those completely steal the combat system from 10, like the turn order.
Yeah, kind
You know
of.
what else
Yeah,
did and still uses it to this day? Fucking Trails. Trails is still using 10's combat
don't-
system to this day.
I don't know if that's accurate.
I don't know.
I guess the elements of it. I don't think it's the same.
No, because it's got like the movement system, obviously, but you've still got like the heavily emphasized element of like you've got the turn order on the side of the screen and you have to manipulate the order that people are going in.
Was 10 the first game to use that? I don't think so, right?
No, I don't think it. I wouldn't know.
I think it was the
I'm
first
not
game
sure,
to
but it
really-
was the game that like codified it.
Yeah.
I would say so, maybe. Yeah.
I want to say it was the first game to really like perfect it because I remember playing like Omega Quintet.
Yeah, that's another example. Is basically all of the Idea Factory RPGs
Yeah.
also use a stolen version of this
When are we
combat
gonna
system.
talk about Omega Quintet though?
Like,
when's that episode
Do
happening?
we want to do an Idea Factory episode?
maybe
No,
Maybe.
just Omega Quintet episode, man.
just Omega Quintet.
I would have to
Only-
finish it. I'm pretty sure I'm like 2/3 of the way into it, but I haven't touched it.
I got to the
literally
music video
years.
creator, the part I was so fucking hyped for, and then I dropped it.
And then it was underwhelming. And then it's hard to use and it's underwhelming.
Yeah, it's hard to use. It's underwhelming, and I can't make my girls as cute as I wanted it to be.
Yeah, man. So
Yakuza 0 made it better.
yeah,
Make all my girls pretty.
Yakuza 0 is the better version of Omega Quintet.
that's a good arc you could do, man.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Every time I have an idea like that, you're just like, hey, you should write that.
You should write it, man. Do it.
Okay. My turn. My favorite game, I flip-flop, but because we already discussed Final Fantasy, I'm gonna go with my favorite game of all time is Paper Mario 2.
That's a very I respect that a lot.
That's
good.
1,000 Year Door, right?
Yeah.
Yep. I personally don't think that there's ever been a Mario RPG that has ever topped it. I think that Origami King like comes kind of close, but it still doesn't quite capture the same vibe that I'm looking for. And
I kind of miss how Mario RPGs used to be because they were really dark back in the day. Like Super Paper Mario and 1,000 Year Door are like really dark.
Yeah.
A lot of people like that's why whenever you see a new Paper Mario game being announced, everybody's like, is it going to be like 1,000 Year Door? And they had to literally come out and be like, no, we're not going to make more Paper Mario RPGs like we used to because that's what Mario and Luigi are for. And now Alpha Dreams get buried. So who knows? I don't know. I don't know if Origami King sold well enough that they're going to make more, but I hope so.
Is Fire Emblem Cross Paper Mario.
Oh no, Nate, don't give them ideas, man. I don't think anyone wants that.
I kind of want it.
Do you really want
that? Man, I would play the fuck out of that.
Isn't that like pseudo what like Mario Rabbids is? Like kinda?
Kind of, yes.
I'm trying to come up with a name for this now. Hashtag FE paper mache sessions.
Oh no. Oh no. We're gonna see like anime Peach. That's not gonna be good.
Oh dude, no, that'll be hot.
Yo, it might though, yeah.
We already have that.
Do we?
Is the thing.
Basically, yeah.
Where?
Like, in what universe is Bowsette not just like goth anime Peach?
I mean, I guess. Okay.
Yeah. Sure. I've seen some videos out there.
Peach as big titty goth GF.
I mean, she practically is. When they give her the fuller lips, which is now what I kind of give the Peach design now, because I look back at like the Melee stuff, I go like, Peach looks a little weird without her puffier lips for some reason.
With Paper Mario though, like the second game, and this isn't a hot take, the second game is literally just a refined version of the first game.
Yeah, for sure.
But what they both do better than any Mario game had previously and maybe even since is Peach character arcs.
Yep.
Do you remember Peach's arc in 1,000 Year Door, like her talking and bonding with the giant computer on the moon tech?
Yeah,
and like
yeah, man.
and you cry at the end of that storyline. You cry so fucking hard because they've made you attached to a giant HAL 9000 computer.
Like, so like this is fine if I like to like talk about the ending of it?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
go
like
ahead.
I really like how
it's a decade and a half old.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
good.
I really love how they had
Decade
so like
system.
there's two distinct parts of that game that I really love.
Mhm.
The first is when you first get Vivian and the whole party swaps. I thought that was really
Yeah,
fucking
when
cool.
everybody like betrays you because they
Mhm.
don't realize that Mario's not in his own body.
Mhm.
And then the final fight where like you fight against like pseudo evil Peach, like
Mhm.
you would not see that happen in like modern
The Shadow
Mario.
Queen was scary as
No.
Shadow Queen was
fuck.
scary, man.
Yeah.
Shadow Queen was scary.
I have on my GameCube memory card, I have a save file kept at the beginning of chapter 3, which is Glitzville,
Mhm.
and at the beginning of chapter
Mhm.
6, which is the Excess Express. Those are just some of my favorite levels in video games. I could
Oh, the
just like
train.
I
Oh, the
just yeah,
train's
the
really
train,
good.
Yeah.
the
Train's really
Agatha
good.
Christie mystery on the train, and then it gets
That's good.
attacked by giant cog abominations, and I love it. I love
It's so
it.
good.
So good. So good. I could just like
I think I'm not sure if I prefer that or Super Paper Mario, but they're both like really high up there for me.
Mhm.
I like Super Paper Mario. It is a game that is for me literally uncomfortable to play because you have to
Mm.
use the D-pad on the Wiimote
Yeah, it's
for an
not that
extended
great.
period of
It's not
time.
great to use. Yeah.
No, it's like it's the same reason why, like, from a gameplay perspective, Other M could be fine, but your thumb gets really fucking uncomfortable
Yeah.
after like
Yeah.
an hour because
Yeah.
the D-pad is so pointy.
Yeah, man. Where is our Switch other M port, man?
They
Man.
could.
Can you imagine if like that's the remaster we get instead of like Prime Trilogy?
Oh, people would be pissed if
Can
it's
you
not Prime
imagine?
Trilogy. But I think it's funny. Other M is still the only Metroid game I haven't really played.
You know, honestly, like I think it's kind of fun, but it's just like everything else about it is not good.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
if you like played it like without the story, it would feel pretty close to just being a modern 2D Metroid like Dread is.
Yeah,
It's just
it's
that
fine.
Yeah.
the context of the story just reduces Samus so deeply. And like Samus already barely has a character. So to take that and then infantilize it.
Yeah.
It was kind of interesting that they kind of tried to like make her more of a character. Like they try to give
I
Metroid more of
applaud
a
the effort or the idea,
yeah.
I should
It's a cool
say.
idea, I think.
They just did not have
Yeah.
a good enough idea for it. And it's hard. Sorry, am I cutting?
No, I'm literally into a say that's a very lame joke about what other M actually stands for.
What does it stand for? Nate?
It stands for other mother.
Oh my god.
Oh, just let me sew these buttons into your eyes. But like it's just kind of a thing that happens when Nintendo tries to give personalities to a lot of its game characters, because so many of its game characters are symbols more than they are characters. And that, you know, going back to Paper Mario, that's something that Paper Mario does actually exceptionally well. Like,
really
I
well.
love that Luigi is just the biggest asshole and he has no idea. That was phenomenal. I love like, even though Mario is a silent protagonist in the first two games, like his reactions to things just have so much character to them that you don't get out of all the platforming games.
Yeah.
And the way that they just like write it all in service of the comedy, like, and the jokes just land so damn well because the localization is incredible.
Yeah.
Just great. I love it so deeply. And yes, the game does have that one really annoying part near the end, but you know what, I love it worse than all.
What game doesn't? Yeah, you know.
Yeah. For another thing, I know we brought up Dread a little bit, but we talked about Metroid. I want to talk about Metroid a little bit more.
Sure.
Dread actually does a really good job of characterizing Samus again.
I've heard about that. Like,
yeah.
I didn't play it, but I've heard that like she shows a lot of personality in like those like cutscenes.
Yeah, and through mostly actions, she's still a non-speaking character, but it's the way she fights, it's the way she carries herself. And I mentioned it in my review because I reviewed Metroid Dread, that we've seen a part of Samus that we've never been able to see before, because most games have been 2D, and the one game that was 3D that had these cutscenes almost similar to this was Other M, which kind of just was like, hey, here's the baby. Did you hear about the baby? What about the baby?
And also, Samus is a woman who needs a man's permission to fire her missiles.
Yeah, I've actually heard a good. I can't remember if it was you, but I heard somebody say that she is doing it out of some kind of resistance to Adam, that she's listening to him so much down to a T, because she's like, what? No, screw you. If you want to lock me down, fine, you lock me down. Oh, you didn't tell me to use my missiles? Well, whoops, I didn't use my missiles.
See, I don't think that was a take that I would have said. If it was, then I'll stand corrected. But my interpretation of that is it's still not great, because like, what happens if she just fucking dies because she was being an obstinate child to her supervisor?
Yeah, what she does.
And there is that scene in Other M where she goes through an area without the Varia suit, and people are like, why aren't you using your Varia suit?
And she just didn't have permission.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, like, I can get wanting to stick it to the man, but like, not so much that you literally die. Because
you can find other ways to do it, Samus. You can find other ways.
Yeah. God.
Okay. All right.
We're gonna talk about
yes,
the PS Now stuff.
So our second topic of the day, if y'all don't know, and this is still a rumor, so we are being game journalists here by discussing this rumor.
Boy.
Though it is backed up by a couple things, and I'll get into that. So supposedly, PS Now is being phased out of Sony's service offerings in favor of what we know currently as Project Spartacus. That's probably not what it's going to actually be called, but the idea is it's not going to be Sony's Game Pass, in that it won't have day and date releases, because Sony has said that they're not doing that. They don't need to do that. Clearly, they don't need to do that. They sell plenty of copies. But what it is going to be is a enhanced version of PS Now that offers a greater selection of classic titles. So PS1 and PS2 games are the most heavily hyped, I guess, requested, known. The unfortunate bit, of course, is we still have to do streaming for PlayStation 3 games. There just is no getting around that without having to devote a ton of specific attention to basically making full ports of all of those games. RIP Cell Processor. You were ambitious, but also you sucked, and I hate you. But
with the emotion engine in the PS2, man. Still can't do fog right in Silent Hill.
Webcam, what are you doing? So
isn't there also like PSP stuff?
Yes,
too, I think?
that is supposedly we are supposedly also getting PSP and Vita games. Caveat: it is not likely that these games will have added trophy support, so do not be surprised
if it's just not like Vita. Well, like they're older games anyway. I'm not gonna really expect trophies.
Because we have a precedent set of the couple of PS2 games that were already ported up to PS4, like the like Rogue Galaxy, for example, Red Faction, all of that. Like, those have trophies, but those are specific high definition ports. We are just talking about taking the game and making it run maybe with a little bit of upscaling on the PS4 and 5.
I think that's not really like a drawback at all, honestly. Like, it's completely fair to me.
It sounds totally fine. Like, it's harder for me to get into a lot of games if there's no trophies, but if the game itself hooks me in, then I'll do it anyway. It's just less like for my little ADHD brain to be like, oh, I can do this and this and this and this and this. And it'll add to my shiny point score, but I don't have to have that. We played for decades back in my time without such features.
Yeah. And this is like a hot take on the trophy support stuff, but I feel like the added trophy support in the games that we do have was kind of like lame. Like,
so the one that I have, Bailey, if you want to discuss this, I don't want to like cut you off because I'm doing a lot of talking here. I played most of the Rogue Galaxy port, and I did notice basically all of the trophy flags are from like the last 20% of the game, which
Yeah,
is just
so,
kind
like,
of stupid design, I think.
Oh,
I think it's also like, so like this isn't really specific to Rogue Galaxy, but like I feel like with a lot of these older games are like they weren't made with trophies in mind.
Mm-mm.
So it's kind of
Yeah.
hard to like think about where to put them. Like I know that like Dark Cloud 1, like they couldn't even make a plat for it, I think, right?
I
Or
don't
if it does
remember. I
have
would have to
one,
look into that.
like a lot of
no,
those trophies are
I
like
think there is a plat for Dark Cloud.
there is one? Okay,
I
okay.
think so. Yeah, I think it might have been added later, but I think there is one.
Okay, okay. It's just
Um,
like I do recall Rogue Galaxy being really bad though. Like I didn't finish the PS4 version of it,
mhm.
but like when but like I had like 5% of the trophies in like 20 hours. I was like, wait, what? What's happening here?
Yeah, they're all at the end, and that's kind of frustrating that you don't get like the progress meter if there's going to be a progress meter.
Yeah.
So what Spartacus kind of has roots in is um the PlayStation 3 specifically had a fairly extensive library of purchasable digital copies of PS1 and PS2 games. I don't know about you guys, I have dozens of these because they would go on sale all the
Yeah,
time.
they were very
Yeah.
cheap.
But specific to our audience, this ended up being like, even if it was temporary, a preservation mechanic for a lot of JRPGs.
Yeah.
So like the Persona PS1 games and the PS2 games, all the PlayStation 2 Shin Megami Tensei games, Odin Sphere's in there, a whole bunch of NIS America games are in there. Like that's personally what I want to see continued forward, especially now that we're seeing a resurgence for Shin Megami Tensei, because they put so much weight behind 5 and behind Persona.
Yeah.
What do you think would be a so like what do you think the pricing would be like? So like would it be in like tiers or would it just be like one overall package?
So I mean, Nate, if you want to weigh in.
Yeah. I can weigh in a little bit on this one. Yeah, for sure. The best part would probably be tiers, honestly.
Tiers, right? Yeah.
Yeah. PS Plus will just have what PS Plus is now, would be what the normal patch is. Go up, call it PS Ultra, whatever.
Yeah, I would expect Sony to have some sort of bundled service the way that Game Pass Ultimate
Yeah.
works.
Yeah, it's just I'm curious about it because PS Plus already is kind of a hard sell because it's like 60 a year, you know.
Yeah.
And like I don't know how much more you could raise it for these other like games.
PS Plus, to my, like, this is a little off topic, but PS Plus, to my knowledge, I think the price has only ever been raised once, and I think it was by $10.
Yeah, I think so.
But
that sounds right. Yeah.
PS Plus, especially since the launch of the PS5, I think has been much less of a hard sell. Like in addition to the PS Plus collection, which, you know, gives you a shit ton of stuff right away. They've also been pretty good about like when it comes to middle card games, a lot of them do come out day and date on PS Plus. Like Oddworld was the big one. Like launched on PS Plus free of charge if you had a subscription, and that was really cool because that game was then sold in stores for like $50. So, and like especially if you've had, the thing about PS Plus is how worth it is builds as you subscribe for longer because your collection of games that you have to maintain a subscription for builds over time and it compounds. But what I would expect for Spartacus, if it does have like the library that we're expecting, Game Pass is on paper. It's this is only really on paper because people get it cheaper by a whole bunch of methods, but on paper it's supposed to be, I think, what, like $10 a month for Game Pass and $15 for Ultimate,
something like that. Yeah.
I would probably expect something like that. PS Now used to be a lot pricier than it is and a lot worse than it is.
PS Now is really expensive.
PS Now was a couple years ago was brought down to match the price of PS Plus. So they're both $60 a year. But before that, it was a nightmare. I think it was like $90 a year or something.
It was 90?
It was
Yeah.
high as
Let me
hell.
actually check this out. Actually, wait.
Go for
Yeah,
it.
no, that's a good thing to check.
But then the thing was, at launch, you had to pay that price, and then depending on the game, you might have also had to pay a price to rent the
Yeah,
streamed game you were playing. It
yeah, I
was a
remember
nightmare.
that.
It is no wonder no one used it.
Yeah, because I remember that. 'Cause I was like really hyped about PS Now when it first came out because I was like, oh, cool. It's like I could play whatever games I want. And then I saw like the renting was like ridiculous, like $3 for an hour. And I'm like, what? I don't have any money.
What it like, I don't think it was it you're not like totally off base. I don't think it was quite
Yeah.
that expensive, but what I remember thinking when I saw like the way that the rentals worked was when you were a kid and you
Yeah.
like went on
Oh
vacation with
my
your parents
God.
and you stayed at a hotel, like the hotels that would have pay-per-view rental games where you like plugged an
Yeah.
N64 controller into the TV and you could
Yeah,
like
yeah.
rent Pokemon Stadium for a night for
Yeah.
$20.
Yeah, I remember that.
It used to be so from what I'm seeing here, it used to be 20 a month,
That
which is
doesn't
like
surprise me.
that's
Yeah.
like really bad.
It was way too much. And I
That's
think
terrible.
that this is where the competition really came in clutch. Was Sony looked at Game Pass and was like, oh shit, this is embarrassing us in terms of
Yeah.
our
Mhm.
competing
Yeah.
service. Maybe we should fix that. Uh so they dropped the price of PS Now and they started investing more heavily into getting more well-known games for it. So PS Now for the last couple of years has actually been pretty decent. The only issue with it is a lot of games have overlapped. So like you would get a PS Now game that would be added to the service like 6 months after it was a PS Plus free game.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you just like look now completely blind, totally fresh, like you just bought a PS5
Yeah.
and don't have anything on your account already, and you look in there, it's pretty enticing. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of
Yeah.
stuff. It's a shame
Something,
that a lot of it leaves after 3 months, and I'm hoping that that's a thing that they would be able to
Yeah.
fix. But
Yeah.
Something I've been kind of curious about is how they would approach it. So like because of how Nintendo has been handling Switch Online with the N64 games, well, like SNES and like
Mhm.
NES and all those games, and how
Yeah.
they like gradually roll them out. I wonder if Sony would just like throw everything out when it's like when the like Surface is around, or if they would like do a slow rollout. I would assume the former. I don't see them doing the latter, but like that's kind of like one worry I kind of have.
It's hard so I don't ever want to see anybody repeat Nintendo's dumb virtual console Switch
It's-
Online business model, because
It's really bad.
the way that Nintendo does
Yeah.
Switch Online, especially now, it's not worth it, and they don't update it often enough. And
Hey, man.
the difference between that and this is the games that are being put or were before the N64 games were added on Switch Online were largely like extremely easy to emulate 16 and 8-bit titles.
Yeah.
Like they could literally just grab the ROM
Mhm.
file, drop it onto the server, and that's almost all of the work that it would take. But
Yeah.
they would come out so extremely slowly that like I think they were putting out like 3 of them every 3 months.
I think they're trying to like hype people up or something, but it's like I don't know like how that's gonna excite people.
That being
Wow.
said, with Spartacus, I don't see a reason why Sony wouldn't still do some form of not drip feed, because that's
No.
what Nintendo does, but like a gradual release. Because if they were like, hey, here's this launch here, it's already got, let's say, 80% of everything that's ever going to be on it,
Mhm.
then how do you keep people around is the
Yeah,
thing.
well,
Because part of the appeal is always seeing what cool thing you're going to get to play next month, and that is one of the ways that they keep people around for this. I think that if they were to just like release a full library right off the bat, I think a lot of people would sub for 2 months and then drop it.
It'd be too much, right? Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like, yeah,
it'd be
and
way too
there is
much.
also the element of being paralyzed by choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I hope the greater selection is, because I know you've complained about it, Colin, is that there's like a lot of mysterious missing, like things that are missing from the PS Now. Like, why
Yes.
isn't there more Ratchet and Clank?
Man, I really want I really want the PS3 collection, man. Like I
Yeah.
would love to play and like Jack. Actually, I think Jack's on PS4, right?
Jack,
But
yes, the Jack and Daxter collection
oh no, wait, no,
was
it's
ported up.
it's actually Sly that isn't on PS4,
Sly
right?
is
It's on
not
PS3.
on.
Sly's not on PS4.
Ratchet and Clank is not on.
Nope.
God of War is not on.
Oh man, man, I want to.
Which is
Oh my
weird because
God.
God of War 3 is, I think. because
God
they
of War
ported
3,
that up.
yes, because
Three-
God of War
three is
3 got a PS4
Yeah,
remaster.
3 is
Yeah.
PS4.
But like nothing else. And I'm like, why would I want to play 3 if I haven't played 1 or 2?
Yeah, it's a little weird. I don't know.
And I think that's one of the reasons why God of War 2018 and Ragnarok lean very little on the finer details of what happened previous.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, makes
But
sense.
Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, not the case. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is a sequel to Ratchet and Clank Into the Nexus.
That is very interesting. So like the last Ratchet game I played was the PS4 like
The remake.
yeah, and I didn't like it.
Yeah.
It's not a bad game. It's just kind of charmless.
It just didn't
Yeah.
feel like Ratchet and Clank to me, you know.
Try as he might, he could not make a better game.
Like I do like I don't because I feel like they've kind of gotten like safer with this like with the game sense of humor.
I don't disagree with that. I think
Yeah.
that Rift Apart is a little bit closer to what it used to be, but I would also say that it was safe in that like it toned down on the challenge a lot more.
I've heard
Yeah.
of that, yeah.
But you know, trying to just steering us back a little bit, like there's all kinds of stuff that we haven't seen get properly ported. And PS Now has several of the Ratchet and Clank PS3 titles. I think it has almost all of them, but because you have to stream them, they are nearly unplayable. And what I like can't help but think about if they were to emphasize more PS2 forwards compatibility is they could just give us the original versions of the original the first 4 games.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Rather
I
than
guess
making us stream the PS3 versions. Like I think
Yeah.
that there are people that would do that. I don't know if Sony would do that, but like it's a possibility
It's a possibility.
that
Yeah,
would give us better version because so thing with PS Now that I've never understood. Sony seems to have a much higher estimation of the quality of the PlayStation 3 streaming than actually exists.
Yeah.
I don't know a
true.
single person, regardless of their internet connection, that thinks that the PS3 streaming is playable for anything besides a turn-based game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is simply too much of a lag. And it really does not matter what your internet connection is like. Like my PS5 is plugged directly into my router and I have a 200 megabit internet connection. And I still get very noticeable input lag playing PS3 streaming.
Well, and here's the issue: as I worked for Comcast for like about a year, so I have a little more insight into the way internet just kind of works. Right now, infrastructure in America is not really set up for high data streaming like gaming would be, because a video is pretty easy. You just
it's just a file.
Yeah, it's just a file. You compress it down, you send it over, your video loads up a certain amount before it even starts, and then keeps going and feeds it into it. With gaming, you have to have that one-to-one, and that's so much data uncompressed that once you hit, so okay, say I'm in Colorado and server is somewhere in LA. If I hit a hub, a junction that just is having massive slowdown, that's the connection is gone. It's dead. And I've witnessed this even just trying to play online with friends, like on Switch Online. Like I couldn't ever play with a friend, not because of anything else, but because of the way my internet ISP routed my connection to him through certain hubs, that these hubs would just deteriorate and we couldn't even get into the same lobby without it just compressing or just dying.
Bailey, have you ever tried the PS3 streaming?
No, I don't want to waste the money on it.
So do you want to know why it is like this? It is because the way that the PS Now PS3 streaming works is Sony's basically got a giant bank of modded PlayStation 3 hardware. and it is streaming from that to the end user.
Oh,
That sounds like a
No.
Twitter. That sounds like a fucking Twitter meme.
Like, I wish I was joking about this. I will find like the articles about this, because I'm stating this
Nate's
as fact.
dying.
If I'm proven wrong, then I'm proven wrong. But I am 99% certain that I have
that's
read this
a-
as fact.
Yeah, no, like if that's fact, those network cards and those PS3s were so
The
terrible.
PS3 doesn't know what high-speed internet is.
That's really
No,
funny.
The
actually.
PS3 download speed caps out at like 700 kilobits per second.
It's
Yeah.
really bad. Yeah.
No, I remember waiting days to download. I can't even remember what game it was.
I had to install a 2 terabyte drive in my PS3, and I remember like plugging it into my parents' modem
Oh.
and just setting everything to download and having to leave it for like 4 days to get all my games to re-download.
Yeah, that makes
And
a
then
lot
you
of
have to
sense.
install them all one by one onto the slow hard drive.
Yeah, and because it's how slow it is and how it worked, you couldn't do anything else. Your PS3 was just sitting there downloading.
So there does need to be a better solution. I don't like it would be a lot of work. And if they ever did like an upgraded version of Spartacus to include either better PS3 streaming or, God forbid, actual download and play ports, I would understand. Like, it sucks that this is not a thing that is the consumer's fault. This is Sony's fault for designing the console this way.
Yeah.
And this is why the PS3 was so notoriously hard to develop for at the time. But the way that it is now, it really doesn't matter what your internet speed is, because the problem is on their end. So I think that some downgraded versions of title, like original versions of titles that have PS3 versions that are just unplayable on modern hardware, would be really cool to see.
Yeah.
But I also, the other thing that I want them to do a gradual release for is so that they can give games promotion when they're being added to the service. Because the thing about all of those PS1 and PS2 classics on PS3 is they were all shadow dropped.
Yeah.
You heard nothing about them. Sometimes you might not have even realized they were there until you looked in the sale page and saw them there. That is how I found all of those Mega 10 PS2 games that I didn't know were on there.
I remember that being a big problem. And I remember because of that, I have this bad habit now of every time I get bored, I go, okay, I'm gonna go into the store really fast, check to see if there's anything new that's just dropped or whatever. Because they used to shadow drop a lot of stuff, and it was just like, holy crap, this game I wanted to play forever is finally released. The only reason why you'd hear about it is because your podcast or whatever would talk about it for like 5 seconds and then drop out. It was like this direct reels where it's like, oh hey, there's Mega 10 5 on like a 2-second clip, followed by like Call of Duty or something.
And there's a lot that wasn't in that PS2 collection that I think could have been. But one expectation that I want to manage for this is I would not expect previously purchased titles to like just be given to you. I think you are going to have to subscribe.
That's not gonna happen.
Yeah,
that's not gonna happen. Yeah,
it sucks, but that's just how it works. So I want to wrap up, but what I want to do first is I want to go between us, and if you remember what was on the service before that we had on PS3, and pick a game that you would like to see on the new one that wasn't ported to the PS3.
Wait, what? What do you mean?
So the games that were on PS3 for backwards compatibility that you could download, there were a lot that weren't there. And I want to know, like, if you had a wish list for a thing that wasn't there, but you want to see on this new service, what would be at the top of it? I've already got one in mind.
I've got a couple in mind already.
Bailey?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Mine is Radiata Stories. I don't know how many people remember this game. It was Suikoden as an action RPG, and also your character was an asshole, and it was delightful.
I think I vaguely remember that game.
Yeah, I think I might like vaguely remember that. That would be interesting.
So it was like this schedule-oriented action RPG where
Mhm.
like the world around you was alive and literally every single one of the characters that you saw could theoretically be recruited as a party member if you just
Oh.
did the right stuff to recruit them. And it had a branching storyline to play it so you would play it more than once. And again, I really liked the main character because he was just like a rude brat in a sea of like nice guy RPG protagonists. It was
It's
like
always a
something-
nice thing to see.
Yeah.
I
Really
like
good.
asshole protagonists.
Okay, Nate, you got one?
Yes. And this one's actually really, really big. Silent Hill 2, 3, and 4.
Ooh,
I would love
I
to
don't
see-
want that to be a pipe dream. It kind of is, but I don't want it to be. Okay,
It-
for those of you who don't know,
Yes.
the only legal method to purchase Silent Hill 1 in the year of our Lord 2022 is to boot up your PlayStation 3 and buy it on the PlayStation Store. It is the
Ayo.
only way to buy Silent Hill 1 legally, and
Yep.
you cannot buy the PlayStation 2 versions of 2, 3, or 4 legal in a way that that supports the developers.
Yeah. Yep.
You can buy the HD collection on
Yeah.
Xbox Live, but
What's the deal with that?
Oh,
Because I've
we
heard
will
not great
have
things.
we will have a discussion on this.
Yeah,
This
we
is a
will
whole
talk
episode.
about that. Yeah,
This
it's
is a
it's
whole
lot.
episode, and we've
Oh,
got
boy.
5 minutes.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a lot.
boy.
It's
But I want that. I want that for all of us.
yeah. I
Okay.
think that would be perfect for a system like a big here. Take
Silent
this
Hill.
system.
Shut up and take my money,
Yes.
Billy.
Really?
So I'm gonna get real niche here.
Oh.
Games no one's talked about in like 20 years. So Arts and Ellico. 1 and 2.
No.
So I think one of the Art and Ellico games got a port later, but it was not.
So the first 2 games were PS2 only.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, yeah.
there was 3 on PS3 and we don't talk about 3. And then
It's like Dragon
was,
Quarter. We don't talk about it.
then there was Arno Search, which is like a prequel. But
That might be what I'm thinking of.
yeah. So that was PS3 and Vita. But the first
Okay.
2 are like stuck on PS2 and there's no other. Wait, and they're like pretty good games. Like 2 is I think one of the most underrated PS2 JRPGs ever made.
Okay.
And that's a broad list. The PS2 was RPG heaven.
PS2 is RPG heaven, yeah.
Yeah.
2 is there's a really like funny history with those first 2 games because they were localized, I think they were by NIS America.
Okay.
And they had like really like notoriously bad localizations.
Mm-hmm.
Like so ideally I would like ideally it would be cool to like see them get like some sort of like remaster like treatment, but like in this like context I'd be happy with just the OG ones, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, and with that, we are officially at the end of the first ever episode of the Stray Pixels podcast.
Hey.
To give you guys a little bit of background, we've got kind of a broad team here at Noisy Pixel, and not a lot of us really got the opportunity to do on-camera stuff. So this is sort of an attempt to let you guys get to know the rest of us, and hopefully we'll get to have, a couple people in and out on here. It might just be us over and over again, but
maybe we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know yet, but we got some people interested. So me and Bailey are kind of in the rotation slots. So some episodes you'll see me missing out if I don't know much about the topic or what have you.
We've got at least one person who says he wants to come in as a VTuber, so we'll see how that goes.
That's gonna be
a
marketing pitch.
We could have the VTuber episode. All of us just get rigs.
That's gonna be a lot of effort.
That's gonna be a lot of money.
That's gonna be a lot of
less effort, more money.
Anyway, we are hoping that we get to give you guys more content like this year for 2022. That's one of our Noisy Pixel New Year's resolutions, along with a whole bunch of other cool stuff coming your way. So just to sign off, I'm Colin.
I'm Nate.
I'm Bailey.
We'll see you guys next time.
See ya.
See ya.